Here's rather an unusual story about an octopus, which I hope will not give offense to any octopus lovers watching tonight, you know. Well, everything's possible, you know. I remember when I was small, and I have been smaller, yes. Never any bigger. That is a story I put around, and that story I put around about my being bigger is, you know, is entirely wrong, you know. The one, you know, when I said that if I hadn't upset our local witch doctor, I'd still be in the Grenadier Guards. That's lies. But as I was saying, all things are possible. Now, when you're seeing it now, eh? When I was a small child, I was once in love with an earwig. Now, this was after we got rid of the budgie, you know. Well, he had to go, because he kept saying, "Who's a pretty boy then? Who's a pretty boy then?" Until my father began to take it personally. And bought himself some eyeshadow and a handbag. What I was saying was I dearly wanted a little pet, and my father, you know, never had much money, you know. He would have had, you know, if he hadn't spent it all on eyeshadow and handbags. So he bought me an earwig. Well, he never actually bought it, you know. He got it off some people down the road who had more earwigs than they wanted. And I really loved that earwig. You know, I really did. I'd do anything for him. Saturday mornings, I used to hang about the barber's to see if I could pick him up an ear. And I used to teach him tricks, you know, little things. And then one day at the pub, they had an unusual pets competition, you know. And I took my earwig along in a matchbox, and I put him, you know, in his little hoop at his piano, and got the tightrope out there in front. And he got up, and when the judge, I cracked my little whip, you know. No, I had a little cotton whip. I used to crack it. And out he came to go up the tightrope. One of the judges said, "Look at that bloody earwig. You get it?" But I digress. And back to the story about the octopus, which concerns a chap who got himself a job in a zoo. And the first morning, the man in charge said to me, he said, "This morning," he said, "I'd like you to clean out the octopus." And the chap said, I said, how do I do that?" He said, because he's not very bright, this chap. He said, how do I do that? He said, actually, the crew, now I'll tell you why the crew are laughing, because that voice is a very lifelike impersonation of our new producer on the show. "Hello, Ron," he said. It's terribly like him. And actually, I don't know why I'm laughing. If I'm not very careful, the unemployment population will have risen next Monday to 1,200,000.5. Although I must be fair and say that this new producer, is better than the other chap, you know. Or the other fellow. He had to go, you know. He drank as well, you know. Now this man doesn't drink half as much, to be honest, you know. He spills most of it. I actually heard this joke last night at the other producer's farewell party. We had a sort of thing, very quiet affair, to be honest, you know. Actually, as good times go, it would rate about the same as being trapped in a lift. The BBC were trying out their latest technique to save on drinks, you know. They hide the barman's hearing aid. And while you're trying to order a drink, they have two Jehovah's Witnesses trying to talk you out of it. Then the record players all broke down. The record player broke down completely, you know. So we put the telly on, you know. And a few of us danced to Match of the Day. And then the head of Light Entertainment showed us the home movie of his divorce. No, it's rather a sad story, actually. She was a German girl, you know, and they met during the war. They could never agree on how to bring up the children, you know. He wanted them to go into show business, you know, and she wanted them to attack Poland. Which rather luckily reminds me of the joke I was telling, you know. The chap, the Polish octopus, remember the one? I suppose that sounds a bit contrived, does it? Well, you've got to admire the style, haven't you? Haven't you? I know you're out there. I can hear you breathing. And so the zookeeper said to the new man, he said, what I want you to do is get the octopus out of his tank, dump him in the wheelbarrow, clean out the tank, then put him back again. Now off you go. Well, a little while later, back comes the chap. He says, I can't get him out of the tank. Keeps holding onto the glass with his teeth, with his suckers, you know. Slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue on this program. I could be back on Magic Roundabout. And it can get pretty damned hot in that Dougal skin. So the manager said, if he won't behave himself, you'll have to use the shovel, he said. So a few minutes later, the chap came back. He said, it's no good. As soon as I prise one arm loose with the shovel, he gets a grip with the other one, like this. Doing this, the man said, no, you don't do it that way at all. He said, you take the shovel, you give him a whack on the head with it, and he goes, oh, my head, and then you pick it up.
Delta Tango 1 to Foxtrot Whiskey Bravo, over.
Foxtrot Whiskey Bravo receiving. Go ahead, Delta Tango 1. Over.
What do you think of the new policewoman, over?
Very arresting, Delta Tango 1. She can oil my truncheon any time. Over.
Affirmative, Foxtrot Whiskey Bravo. Am responding also. Delta Tango 1 to Zulu Charlie India, over.
Zulu Charlie India.